When you care deeply for someone, your instinct is to give everything you have. Yet without clear boundaries, that generosity can turn into resentment, exhaustion, and loss of self. Today you'll learn a simple ethical framework, rooted in Stoic wisdom and modern psychology, to set relationship boundaries that honor both compassion and self-respect. Welcome to Cognilife, practical philosophy for real life in 5 minutes. In this episode of Ethics in 5, we're tackling perhaps the most delicate balance in human connection: how to uphold your own well-being while caring sincerely for another. Picture this dilemma. You always say yes to your partner's requests, even when you're mentally and physically drained. You forgo your hobbies, skip important appointments, and sacrifice rest, convinced that your love demands self-sacrifice. Over time, you feel bitterness growing beneath the surface, yet guilt prevents you from asserting needs of your own. Do you deny your own limits to avoid letting them down, or do you risk conflict by insisting on time for yourself? Ancient Stoics wrestled with similar dilemmas of duty and self-care. Epictetus taught that our highest duty is to live in accordance with virtue, which includes treating others with respect and treating ourselves as worthy of care. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that we have power over our own judgments and actions, not over external events or other people's desires. Aristotle, in his doctrine of the golden mean, advised that true virtue lies between extremes, neither excessive generosity nor selfish isolation, but balanced generosity anchored in self-awareness. Modern psychology confirms that healthy boundaries are essential for sustained well-being in relationships. Research shows that people with clear boundaries report higher levels of life satisfaction, lower anxiety, and stronger mutual respect with their partners. Boundaries are not barriers to love. They are guardrails that keep both parties safe and empowered to give their best. Let's explore 3 ethical frames you can use to guide your boundary setting. First, the utilitarian perspective. Maximize overall well-being by giving support freely, but only to the extent that it doesn't deplete your own resources. Excessive giving without replenishment leads to burnout, diminishing happiness for both you and your partner. Aim to find the level of support that yields the greatest net benefit to the relationship. Second, the deontological duty. Act according to universal moral principles. In relationships, one principle is that every person deserves respect and autonomy. Treat your partner as an end in themselves, not merely as a means to your own need for approval or harmony. Uphold duties of honesty and self-respect by acknowledging and communicating your limits, even when it's difficult. Third, the virtue of temperance. Aristotle's golden mean teaches us to balance extremes. If your impulse is to give endlessly, practice moderation by reserving time for self-care. If your impulse is to protect yourself at the expense of connection, practice generosity by occasionally stretching your comfort zone. Strive for the virtuous midpoint, where care for others and care for self reinforce one another. Now, here are 3 practical steps, grounded in Stoic practice and psychological insight, to establish and maintain healthy boundaries. Step 1. Clarify your personal limits. Reflect honestly on what activities, conversations, or behaviors drain versus energize you. Maybe you need 2 evenings per week for solitude, or you require a certain amount of notice before big requests. Write down your non-negotiables and identify areas where you tend to overextend. Bringing clarity to your own limits is the foundation of assertive boundary setting. Step 2. Communicate with respect. Use I statements to express your needs without blaming. For example, say, "I need an hour to myself after work to recharge," rather than, "You always demand too much of my time." This approach emphasizes that your boundary is about your self-care, not a rejection of your partner. Practice active listening as well. Ask your partner to share their own needs and seek a mutual agreement. Step 3. Enforce with consistency. Boundaries have power only when consistently upheld. If your partner crosses a line, say, texting incessantly during your recharge hour, politely remind them of your agreement. Remember, I need that hour to rest so I can be fully present afterward. Avoid guilt trips or harsh reprimands. Simply restate your need and follow through on agreed-upon consequences, such as pausing the conversation until you're available. Let's see these steps in action. Imagine you've agreed to limit work calls to only emergency matters after 7 p.m. Your partner texts a non-urgent rant at 8:30. You notice irritation rising. Label it to yourself, "My boundary is being tested." You calmly respond, "I'm taking my personal time now. Let's talk about this tomorrow." You set your phone aside, step outside for fresh air, and reflect on the balance you're creating. The boundary communicates respect for both your well-being and the relationship. Now, a second example. Your partner asks you to host every social event at your home, even when it leaves you exhausted. You clarify, "I enjoy hosting, but I need us to alternate hosting duties or do smaller gatherings." You share this in a calm moment, and when they forget, you gently remind them. By reinforcing the limit consistently, you foster shared responsibility and mutual care. Why do these practices work? First, they honor human dignity, your own and your partner's, by treating each person as deserving of care and respect. Second, they prevent the resentment that festers when needs are ignored. Third, they cultivate trust. When you follow through on boundaries, your partner learns they can rely on you to speak truthfully and act with integrity. Remember, setting boundaries may feel uncomfortable at first, but discomfort is the price of authenticity. Over time, these ethical practices strengthen emotional resilience, deepen mutual respect, and create a sustainable environment for love to flourish. Try these steps this week. Clarify your limits, communicate them respectfully, and enforce them with consistency. Notice how your relationships transform when care and self-respect walk hand in hand. Share your experience in the comments below. What boundary did you set and how did it feel? If you found this framework valuable, please like this video, subscribe to CogniLife, and ring the bell for new ethics in 5 every Friday. Philosophy made practical. See you next time.